All right, folks, you're watching the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I am your host, Tom Downey. Let's get now to the live Q&A on today's show. Again, use hashtag NFL in the hashtag Cowboys in the comment section. My bad, if you want your questions featured live. First up from Earl Thomas, what's the latest news on Earl Thomas? Nothing new there. I mean, there was a photo of him working out in a mask, like an oxygen type mask that had a 9 that looked like the Cowboys 9, but like that's not news at all. So nothing new on Earl Thomas. I think we might get more during Combine Week because let's not kid ourselves. Tampering happens there. That's what happens. David Couch, do you think the Cowboys will draft A.J. Brown if he is still on the board? He fits as that slot receiver. I'm very curious how he tests. I would lean toward he's not going to be there, but if he is, I think he makes some sense for the Cowboys. Gives them another fun playmaker at receiver. Shadow Snow, with Gregory gone, does that mean Taco is the new starter? I think it means Crawford definitely stays at defensive end again this offseason. I think it means you're praying that Taco makes a bigger impact, but he's not going to be handed the starting job. In reality, I think you go get some more defensive line help at edge this offseason. Luis says, why is everyone hating on Dak? Y'all sound ignorant. He had no offensive line, terrible play calling. Now the help on offense when Zeke got suspended before we got Cooper. Dak is our quarterback. I agree with that overall. Dak is the Cowboys quarterback. The O-line hasn't been as bad. Some of those sacks are on Dak. Agree on the play calling. And yeah, when Zeke got suspended, they also lost Tyron Smith, so that does not count for me. And before Cooper, there was a lack of impact players. Thirsty Mathis says, trade Zeke to the Raiders for 2 first-round picks. All right, Mitchell Renz, Raiders Co., shout out in the background. Zeke for 2 first-round picks for the Raiders. Who says no? Just 2 first-round picks. He says which ones? We need instant question, and Mitch is dragging it out for us. He says no. I think the Raiders also say no. Let's say 24-27. I think the Cowboys also say no. Let's just stick with the back for now. Provoked Machiavelli says, should the Cowboys trade Dak for a first-rounder and draft a quarterback? I mean, what first-round quarterback do you want? Do you believe in Dwayne Haskins, Kyler Murray? I prefer Dak to those guys. I certainly do compared to Daniel Jones and Drew Lock, so I say no on that one. Alan Crump, if by some chance both Deebo Samuel and Isabella are there for the Cowboys at pick 58, who do you go with? I'll give it away, but stay tuned for the mock draft. Both those guys were on there, and I made my decision. That's all I'm going to say. If you've watched previous shows, I have mentioned it before, so make sure you're subscribed, youtube.com/Dallas Cowboys Report. Turn on notifications. You'll be notified the minute we go live or have any video up. From Manster54, do you think the Gregory situation opens the door for Taco to have more playing time? Yes, I do. Now, I also think that if you're the Cowboys, you got to go find more defensive end help. This is kind of why you took Taco all the way back in round 1 several years ago. You never knew for sure if Randy Gregory was going to be a player for you. All right? Now he's not going to be. So you're banking on Lawrence, you're banking on Crawford. You have Dorrance Armstrong for now. He hasn't made an impact. Neither is Taco. So the Cowboys have 2 options. Option A, hope and pray that Armstrong or Taco emerges this year. Or go get some insurance, be it free agency or the draft. The Cowboys operate under the we can never have too many pass rushers. You might need one now with Gregory suspended. Ultra Madden, is it wrong to say in 2016 that I still wanted Romo over Dak even though he was going on 10 straight wins? No, I get why everyone loved Tony. I did as well. But A, it's time to move on. B, his body was not going to make it. His body was done. He would not have held up. So you could have gone back to Tony. Probably would have won all those games as well. He would not have made it. I think he would have gotten hurt again. His body, unfortunately, failed him down the stretch. Aaron Ray, do we try to bring in Ndamukong Suh? Does it make sense? I think it does make some sense. I think the price tag is going to be too high. I like the idea of Suh in Dallas. I just don't think it's going to end up happening in the end. Jared Warwick, is Randy Gregory done in Big D? Seems like the end this time. Again, if you missed it earlier, Randy Gregory has been suspended by the NFL indefinitely for another violation of the substance abuse policy. Now, It very well might be. We'll see if and when Gregory can come back. The Cowboys want to try to keep him. Unlike David Irving, Gregory's under contract next year. They don't have to re-sign him and actively pay him and or keep a roster spot open for him right now. They might try, but at this point, look, the Cowboys have done a lot. I'm pretty much out on Randy Gregory. I'll cheer for him like I'll cheer for David Irving, but I don't think he's worth the effort anymore. It's tough. I feel bad for him. Addiction's real. Like, it's just time to move on in the end, I think, for the Cowboys and Gregory. Shadow Snow, Gallup was good, so should we draft a replacement for number 11, Cole Beasley? I mean, I think so. Yes, you want Gallup more involved there, but you still got to replace Beasley's numbers. I say round 2. Maybe now you try and re-sign Cole to focus on defensive end in round 2, potentially. But if you lose him in free agency, yeah, go sign somebody else. From the man, I don't know which man, will the Gregory suspension have an impact on the draft or free agency? I think absolutely. I mean, you have to alter your game plan. You had 6 sacks. You were thinking, God, maybe Randy can get to like 7 or 8 next year at least. Now that's gone. And now your depth is, I like Tyrone Crawford. Dorrance Armstrong didn't do anything this year. Taco Charlton hasn't done anything in his first 2 years. You really need that year 3 breakout for Taco Charlton right now. If that doesn't happen, you better hope you drafted somebody else. So if you're the Cowboys, defensive end was going to be a need we crossed off once Lawrence was re-signed. That's not the case anymore. It's going to remain a focal point in the NFL draft. Defensive line in general is now the Cowboys' top need. It has surpassed pass catcher in terms of receiver/tight end. Javier Nunez, can the Cowboys play good without Zeke Elliott? I mean, I thought they played pretty well against the Giants. That's just one data point. Yeah, we saw them miss 6 games of suspension. They didn't play well, in part because of other injuries. The real question here is, who do they replace him with? You can play fine. It's easier to replace a back than it is like a quarterback, but you better find somebody decent. You can't just take any old guy. You got to find somebody else. So they can, but you don't really need to approach that right now in terms of that mindset. Manster54, who in free agency or the draft do you think we could get to fill the Lance Dunbar role, which we still miss having? A variety of players. Travion Williams, I'll focus on draft here. Maybe a Darrell Henderson or Devin Singletary if he falls down the draft board. Darwin Thompson. Plenty of players can fill that scat back type of role for a back. Couple of receivers, maybe a better version of TJ Yeldon. That's a better version of Dunbar who brings you more in the ground game. Those are just some names to keep an eye out for. Rebecca Lopez, will the Cowboys go after Earl Thomas? I think so. Now, in all honesty, maybe the suspension to Randy Gregory changes their mind and they maybe spend some of that money on a defensive end. Maybe it comes down to this. Would you rather sign Earl Thomas or add a way cheaper safety and some defensive end help? It might be an either or in terms of the way the Cowboys want to use that scenario there. So from that perspective, I do think you'll see the Cowboys make a run at Earl Thomas, but money, once again, is a super focal point there. Luis asks this, if we cut Randy, how much cap space will be added, and what could we get if we trade Taco? So for Randy Gregory, you cut him, you save under $1 million. That's it. It's really not much in terms of cap savings. For now, you might just put him on the commissioner's exempt list or suspension list or whatever. For Taco, I don't know. You have 2 years of data on a first-round pick player who has like 4 career sacks. I don't think very much. I'd say a late day three pick. So at that point, with Randy suspended, I think you just keep Taco. William Pete, do you think we will have interest in John Brown? I think there will be some. I think he's a good fit for the Cowboys. The guy can play inside and out and is also fast, and the Cowboys need speed. I just don't know if he's going to be an actual signing for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, Internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. Now, there are no NFL games on, of course, right now, but there are AAF games to bet on, and BetDSI just put out a bunch of combine prop bets. I put down a bunch of money. Go check my timeline. All kinds of bets available. Over-unders on 40 times, Wonderlic, all that kind of stuff. Go make some money on BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Cowboys120. Some more Cowboys live Q&A mailbag questions here from Dimitri Vallis. Hope I got your name right. Is defensive line our main priority in the draft with the Randy Gregory suspension? If you include defensive end and defensive tackle, yes, it absolutely is. Now, hopefully, you find somebody, but you got to find help now. I think a DT and defensive end. So defensive line, at least for me, has now surpassed pass catcher in terms of receiver / tight end as the Cowboys' key needs. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.